Today's episode is brought to you by the folks over at SeatGeek, the best and easiest to use ticket platform out there. They take the confusion out of buying tickets using a 0 to 10 scoring system and a green is good, red is bad color rating system so you and your loved ones get the best deal possible. So whether it's going to see our beloved Redlegs at Great American Ballpark, the Bengals over at Paycor, FC Cincinnati, one of the area college teams, or pretty much anything in between, use promo code Riverfront at checkout and receive $20 off your first order. Click the link in the show notes to download the app and get started. That's Riverfront, one word, for $20 off.
Hello, everybody!
What's happening?
My name is Tim Daniel. His name is Ben Brown. And his name, literally past last minute, coming to join us just in case, is Joe Farfsing. And welcome to a very exciting edition of Late Night Reds here on the Riverfront. So excited to be here. Really fun week. And I want to talk about, the very few Reds news we have this week. But we got to start somewhere particular because our man, Ben Brown, who, look, guys, battled a lot of internet problems tonight to get here. So show him his love.
Wild.
Because, Ben, we're going to the ship, what? We're going to the ship. We're going to the ship, what? We're going to the ship.
Yeah, man.
Tell us about it, man. Tell us about it.
Bro, it's insane, man. And here's the crazy part about it is that, of course, I don't know how many people follow Northern Kentucky football, but in 5A, it's been us and Highlands kind of back and forth. And we played – the first game we played finished 58-51 in favor of Highlands. It had exactly 1,200 yards in total offense on both sides. It was crazy. No defense was played. So then, of course, we play here, and it's a defensive struggle. We get, we go down. Like, it was just crazy. Like, the last 2 minutes was insane. So we go down. It's 4th and inches. We kick a field goal, go up. They drive back down. They're going for a field goal. My kid blocks it. He blocks it. The kicker falls over top of him. They call roughing the kicker. Of course, we're going insane because, of course, he blocked the kick. So technically should not be roughing the kicker after you block the kick.
Right.
So everybody's going nuts, blah, blah, blah. The very next play, our safety, the kid's running the ball. Our safety comes in and freaking rips the ball out, strips and recovers it. So, but we get the ball on like the 6. Almost get safetied again. Get a punt. We punt it away. It's a shanked punt. And so instead of going for the field goal with there's like 22 seconds left, they try to move the ball closer in a couple passes, and we pick off the last pass with like 6 seconds left to go in the game. I mean, that was the last 2 minutes. Like, it was just insane. But man, super excited. For the kids, it's just incredible. Right now, all the kids are over at one of the players' house dyeing their hair blonde, my kid included. So I mean, that was their state thing. They all wanted blonde hair. So
Nice.
so they're all over there doing that now, and dude, it's just awesome. It's a cool feeling, and kids are excited. We're excited, and we're playing a tough Bowling Green team, and we close the show Saturday night at 8:00. So it should be fun.
Yeah. So Sydney actually asked when and where's the title game. So Saturday night, 8:00
at Kroger Field in Lexington.
In Lexington, but it's going to be streamed too, I think, right?
Yeah. So I believe it's streamed. The KHSA has a stream. I believe the NHFS, the National High School Football, they have a stream as well. So both we stream in the game, and I believe it'll be on radio as well. So
yeah, I'm sure that the week that you're going to play in the state championship, that you were like, man, I can't wait to talk about some Reds news, right?
You know what? Hey, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I got home. We were texting earlier. Like, it's been a whirlwind of stuff. But of course, you get on Twitter, and literally one of the first things I see last night is Noelvi Marte slides in winter ball, slides in the second, and starts holding his hamstring. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like, are you really kidding me right now? But I hopefully it wasn't. It looked like a cramp. I hope it wasn't too serious. But yeah, it was wild. Awesome, Sid. Can't wait.
Yeah, man. If I could be there, I would. But I don't know if taking a 10-month-old out into 30-degree weather for Saturday in Lexington's gonna. I don't think I'm gonna win that argument. Yeah.
I wouldn't advise it.
It'll put hair on her chest. It's good for her. It builds character. Put hair on her chest. Come on.
Because 8:00 is probably close to like dinner time, and it's not good for 10-month-olds.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I saw Bob is in the chat tonight. Hey, I just want to let you know, Bob, did you get my email? Thumbs up if you did. I got the Joey card heading your way. So Ben kind of buried the lead on our first.
My bad.
It's all good. Bad. You're allowed to bury the lead this week, all right? Actually, real quick, I do want to make sure we do a little housekeeping. Make sure, again, just keep everyone posted. So we've got, after tonight, we've got 3 episodes left in the year. Mm-hmm. December 17th is the final late night Reds of the 2023 year.
Listen, I'm not even gonna jump the shark, but dude, my list is gonna be fire. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
So we will be back January 7th, 2024. It will be our first episode back for the start of the year. We're getting a little close to spring training at that time, so we can kind of get it rolling there. But December 17th is going to be the ultimate late Riverfront Christmas song fantasy draft. Joe Farsing's joining us.
Yes.
Confirm.
Cannot wait.
Sean Mackey of Riverfront U of NBA Friday will be joining us as well. I told Chad that he needs to be here. Because he was like, I can't ever go beyond Late Night Reds or the Bengals show, but I'll go on Locked On.
Whatever.
Yeah, Chad.
Right.
Chad.
Whatever.
We know where his loyalties are. He builds this from the ground up and then just leaves us in our hour of need to go hang out with. I mean, those guys are cool. Don't get me wrong, but they're not us.
Right.
Right.
They're kind of like the Besties show, right? Like, they come on our show. Sometimes we go on their show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it. But yeah, the Christmas song draft. So let's just figure this out real quick, because I think the idea I have, because look, obviously there are like 1,000 renditions of every Christmas song, right? Like, so I think the idea I'm going to go with is once a song is selected, that song is entirely off the list the rest of the draft. But
no matter who sang it,
correct.
Okay.
But you have to specify which version you're selecting. So say you're taking Baby Please Come Home. Are you taking Darlene Love? Are you taking U2? Are you taking Death Cab for Cutie? But once you take one,
or Kelly Clarkson.
But once you take one, that song is off the charts the rest of the episode, the rest of the draft. So
strong.
Yeah, I think.
What about adding the extra caveat? You can only pick one song per artist.
That's gonna be
because there's a lot. If you go, you go to the classics, you get like Bing Crosby. I mean, how many songs? White Christmas, but you can't do anything else. Oh, boom.
Oh,
that was my
Joe adding a nice golden list.
I like it. Yeah.
It's only one can get Nat King Cole.
Yep.
I like
Damn
it.
moving up on my list then.
Yeah. I mean, the good news though, that means only one person walks away with Mariah Carey, right?
Correct.
I said that because I know Joe hates that song.
With the heat of 1,000 suns. I'm already tired of it, and we don't even have our Christmas decorations up.
And spoiler alert, I love that song. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I love that song. So, I'm more traditionalist, and I don't like any song from like the 70s on. Like I don't like this, So This Is Christmas by John Lennon. I don't like Wonderful Christmas Time or The Last Christmas. You take that back right now, Fark.
Which one? Hang on. Which one?
Wonderful Christmas Time?
That's a terrible. I love the Beatles. I absolutely love and adore the Beatles. Paul McCartney is probably my. Oh, man. It is schlock. It is absolute schlock. It's what did John Lennon have to say about half of Paul McCartney penned songs? It's granny bullshit, and it's I'm sticking with it.
I know something we do have to talk about the Reds. But,
this is gonna be fun. This is
Thanks,
gonna be real.
I'm on my third bourbon and Coke of the night, so this is gonna get really fun.
I'm envious. I've been sick all day, so I'm sipping on fruit punch. So.
Yeah, watching Jake Browning play quarterback.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ben did mention it, and I was going to go besides the injury, but I did want to talk about this because if you have been paying attention to what's going on in Dominican League Winter Ball, Noelvi Marte has kept up from his 7-week hit streak he ended the season with. He's hitting .421 in the Dominican League.
Yeah.
And it's been, and of course he does injure his hamstring, but he does it sliding into second base the Noelvi Marte way, right? So obviously, we're all like, hey, be healthy, for sure. But we've talked. I mean, we're gonna talk about this forever, right? That's why we had to take 3 weeks off, because we're gonna have the same conversation over and over again. But we keep talking about what Ellie's going to do in year 2. We keep talking about McLean's going to do in year 2. We keep talking about how the Steph Spencer Steer is going to take it. We've mentioned Noelvi Marte, right? We're all excited for him. I'm not saying that by any means, but are we just not taking into account that he could potentially be the best of this group next year?
Oh, it's hard to think that a guy that ended the year on a 7-game hit streak, hitting as well as he did and playing as well as he did, is overlooked. And that's kind of where we're at. We're looking at the LA De La Cruz ceiling. We know Matt McLean is a stud. Spencer Steer was in the running for Rookie of the Year. ECS ended the season hot. We've got all these guys, but Marte, dude, he could be. I don't even think he's a sneaky pick anymore. I think he could be the guy next year who is just above and beyond what we could have imagined going into it. It's crazy to think that of all the guys and prospects that we have, that he could be the one that is you look at him and be like, oh my gosh, this guy is that dude. He is the man. He's the one that's doing the things that we've asked to do and being a big part of that new young infield that we'll have next year. Marte.
Yes, Marte. All right, Bob, I see it.
I'm down.
Yes,
he absolutely. I think McLean is going to be the steady as a rock. He's going to put up 3-4 WAR every single year because he's going to play really solid defense, and he's not going to be spectacular, but he's going to be always on the fringes of the All-Star game every single year. I think Marte has a chance to be Manny Machado. I really do, especially with him at third base. He looks fantastic with the glove, and he just hits. All he does is hit line drives.
Yep.
And he was doing all this without even elevating the ball. He didn't hit first home run until the last week of the season, and he was still hitting the ball all over the yard. And this guy, so long as Ellie can abstain from hitting him in the face with a thrown ball.
When we're in attendance?
Right, exactly. Right. We're there to see all the kids, and then Ellie has to drill him in the face with it. No, I think there is I'm going to say, again, McLean, I think, has the highest floor, but Marte isn't far from it, and I think only Ellie has a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
I aforementioned earlier, Chad making an appearance on Not Our Shows. this week, and he said on there that Ellie De La Cruz could potentially not hit his ceiling and still be a top 5 player in baseball. And I was oh shit, that is like the perfect way to put it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Marte. I think he's going to be awesome. I'm with you, Joe. I think I'm maybe a little higher on McLean, where you say like this guy is like a 3-4 WAR guy, but like fringe all-star. I think he's.
That's not a knock by any means.
I know. No.
His floor is 3 to 4 wins, and again, we'll talk about him later. But his floor is, I think, Brandon Phillips, and his ceiling is higher because he's still. But only because he's a little bit older than the rest of these guys, I think his ceiling is a little lower. But I also think he's more likely to hit. You know, like he's more likely to to hit its 50th percentile. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
stable.
Like. Okay, maybe this is just me being super high on him, and I know a lot of people are going to call me a homer here. But hey, we're the Riverfront. We're not positive, so whatever, right?
Someone's got to be the optimist.
I think Matt McLean's ceiling could potentially be Jose Altuve. I really do. I think his...
I mean, that's...
a couple more inches taller, right?
Right.
I mean, Jose Altuve is the Allen Iverson of Major League Baseball, right?
Yep.
Like... just perfectly awesome at everything he does, but just a little short, right?
Yep.
There was that picture this year when the Reds played the Yankees where Matt McLean was like standing next to Aaron Judge, and that was so funny.
Yeah.
I love that a lot. But I think, Leo, I know this conversation is about Marte, but I really think when you watch him, the swing is just like perfect, right to the ball.
Quick.
Just quick, doesn't like fly out. Like his shoulder doesn't flare. None of that. Right. So I think like that's like he's always in the strike zone. He's never like, and he's like got such a good eye, besides like Benson and Votto. I think he really was one of the guys who had the best batting eye in the box. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Whew. Shout out Woodford Reserve tonight, guys.
Why start now?
Yeah. I just watched Jake Browning quarterback against my least favorite team in the world. Okay. So I deserve this tonight.
Yeah.
I absolutely deserve this. I watched Joe Mixon run into a wall like it was literally a brick wall 14 times today. Okay, like
I got to come up with notes for an hour plus long show. Believe me, I completely feel you, man.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I know. I'm glad I texted you today. And I go, I'm so glad I don't have your job.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm so glad I don't have your job.
It's gonna be rough.
And here's the thing, like everybody knows going into it, like it's Jake Browning, but everybody's like, but we should, but like, no, dude, like it's Jake. Like we got to be realistic, man. Like that's not Joe Burrow. Like it just ain't.
Yeah,
it just ain't. Like it ain't.
Yeah, but again, Jake, we talked about this earlier in our thing. The offensive coaches did him no favors today.
No,
absolutely none.
Yeah.
Except that one touchdown.
I mean, honestly,
cool.
though, I mean, have they done the offense favors at all this year?
No.
And that's Tim and I have been talking about that, like, I mean, in text and in Slack and everything. Like, they script 2 series that have been going pretty. After Burrow finally got physically able to rock and roll, they script 2 series that went pretty well, and then it's here you go, Joe, throw our guys open.
Yep.
Even Andy Reid scripts plays to give Patrick Mahomes some easy throws and easy reads. They don't do any of that shit. It's line everybody up, and they've got the most unathletic. Like we talk about how great the Bengals are, and again we're Reds, not Bengals, but talk about how great the Bengals receiving core is, and they have the most unathletic and slow receivers in the league. They refuse to really integrate Yosef or Charlie Jones, who actually those guys have speed. They refuse to give the ball to Chase Brown, who can actually stop his feet and then start him again and move and do more than just run through a hole. And the limited things it's frustrating.
Yeah,
yeah.
Guys, I know that we have this chat going here, but I think we have multiple Canadians in our chat right now.
Ooh.
We have Joseph Gaditza, who's here every week.
Okay.
And we have Dan Vodon. Dan, welcome to Late Night Red.
Hey, Dan.
Hello. We love the Canadians.
Yeah. I mean, Joey Votto.
Yeah.
Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Rush.
Oh.
Alanis Morissette.
I mean, that one album was fantastic, and then she kind of disappeared, but...
No one could ever tell me Jagged Little Pill does not stand the test of time.
Oh, that's an amazing album. Can't forget Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or the Guess Who.
Right.
Ryan Dempster was funny, dude.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
So
Leslie Nielsen was from Joey's hometown of Regina, Saskatchewan. Leslie Nielsen was a goddamn international treasure.
No kidding. No kidding. I'm so happy. So Dan, welcome. Feel free to ask any questions. We answer them all. We're here to have some fun.
Absolutely.
Let me make sure I get us back on track here. You guys just caught me on a night I was streaking. So back to Noelvi Marte. Joe said that his ceiling is Manny Machado, and that's perfect. I have no complaints about that because it's so true. And some of the things you would see him do were like, I know Spencer Steer's numbers don't necessarily look good at third base, and rightfully so, but he would make some plays where you'd be like, cool, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But Noelvi Marte doesn't have like just cool, awesome. It's how the hell did he do that?
Yeah.
And he's just so fun, man. He's so freaking fun. And like, he's so talented. And, Joe mentioned as well, like no launch angle this year whatsoever. And was still just like getting doubles.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about the best moments of the year, we mentioned, Elliott hit for the cycle, Matt McClain's walk-off in the Dodgers series, Will Benson's walk-off the next night, the 12-game win streak, things like that. Noelvi Marte's debut, and he's still second against the Cubs and scored the game-winning run, was pretty incredible. Yeah. That was like a really, at the time, a much-needed win for the Reds. So this would be pretty cool. Yes, Dan, I see that everyone's trying to recruit you to our Slack channel. You need to. So Bob asked, 3 years from now, which Red Rookie will have the best start to their career? I think it's McClain. I think it's McClain. But I do think Elly De La Cruz about year 5 or 6 might be an MVP.
I don't even think it'll take that long, honestly. He was making change, and he's going to have, everyone knew he was going to have the biggest learning curve because of, he just hasn't been able to play that many games. Everyone, and especially someone with his raw athletic but unrefined approach was going to be screwed by 2020 not happening in the minors. And so like he's missed he's only 21. So is Marte for that matter, but Marte doesn't have arms doesn't have like 30-foot long arms, and just like have to learn how to rein in all your body controls. Guys, how much taller has Elly gotten just in the past couple of years? He was 6'2" when they brought him in, and he's 6'5". He's 6'6" now, if anything. But
he's a shooting guard.
Yeah, exactly. He's a tall, lanky ass guy.
Big Miami Heat fan, apparently. I found out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
If you're going to root for a franchise and you just learned the NBA in the last from 2010.
Yeah.
Probably the Miami
Heat culture.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Joe. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's all good. I forget. I honestly think that by 2025, Elly's going to be top 10 MVP conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think what we're struggling with, and this is rational to feel the way we do about everything happening, and we should feel this way because there is so much talent and so much upside, that this doesn't happen. You don't see all these guys come up and consistently contact and continue to improve ever. And if this happens for the Reds, then this changes life. This changes everything. So if it's Spencer Steer's a multi-time All-Star, Elly De La Cruz is MVP, Matt McClain's a Silver Slugger, CES is a 45 home run guy. That's a lightning in the bottle situation, and you just don't see that in baseball. And if this does happen, and what we're saying is not preposterous, what we're saying is not insane. This is a possibility. It's kind of wild.
It's a big Red Machine-esque lineup.
You and Sydney, same page, apparently.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a big Red Machine type lineup. You've got the second baseman with Pop, Joe Morgan, Matt McClain. You've got the multi-talented, which I know Pete Rose is you're not a fan. I know that, but CES is a guy, but you've got guys in spots all over that can rake, that can play defense, that do the little things to win. It's that lineup has the capability of being big Red Machine-esque. It's all right there.
Yeah.
So does that mean Alfredo Duno is going to be Johnny Bench? Because I'm okay with that. I know he's only
I love Alfredo Duno.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know he's only 19, and he's probably a couple years away. But that dude's having a hell of a start to his career. He's not. Oh God, I'm spacing on the Padres 18-year-old that made it all the way up to Salas, Ethan Salas. Like he's not
gross.
He's not that guy, but he's not that far behind Ethan Salas.
Yeah, he's nuts. So Duno's 17.
Okay,
as Sydney puts here in the chat. Crazy. So, another good question: who moves the outfield within if Arroyo comes up with tiers or so? Are we sure? And I'm not discrediting Bob's question because it's a great question. Are we sure Edwin Arroyo plays a Major League Baseball game for the Cincinnati Reds?
No.
Mm-mm.
And this isn't a slight on him by any stretch of the matter, because I do think he is as talented gets.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if I can make a trip to Chattanooga this summer of 24, I'm going to do my best to do so. I think he'll be in Louisville by like July. But I just don't know if he's going to play a big league game there, especially if this team is looking at a situation where they're going to have to move India. We're going to get into a conversation later about the potential of moving another guy that we're going to discuss. It's been coming up the past couple of days. But if they want to go get a Dylan Cease, if they want to go get all these names that they've been linked to, Arroyo's going to have to be in one of those deals. And I don't know if Nick Krall is necessarily going to do that because, it's Nick Krall. But if that conversation comes up to improve the team, and like Sydney says, he could be with the Reds at the end of September. I mean, it's September call-up, or he could be playing for the Chicago White Sox.
Right.
I'll call Paul. I'll see if Paul can give me some info. But yeah, it's really fascinating. So, Bob, I don't mean to deflect your question. If there was one of those guys that would move to the outfield when he comes up, I think it would probably be something where you put like Strand in left field, but then what do you do with Spencer Steer? I don't know if it's necessarily something where like Ellie's playing center field. I don't think the Reds feel comfortable with that. I could be wrong.
He's redundant to me, honestly, and that's these guys all can't fit on the same team, which is why it's ridiculous. People are hesitant. Like anytime you talk about making a trade of anybody, like you got to hold on, like they're redundant. Like they play the same positions, they do the same things. You can't roster these guys. At some point, you're gonna have issues with 40-man spots in the Rule 5. You're gonna lose some of these guys because you're not gonna have any room on your 40-man roster, and you're gonna lose legitimate prospects because you held on to these guys, and you're gonna give them away for nothing.
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing that just makes it so hard. So if I had to guess one of them, it'd be probably, Strand played, like, remember like in Louisville, they're like, today Strand's playing first base. Next week he's playing third base. Today's playing left field. Tomorrow's playing right field. He's like, you could just see him in right field, like
he's like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
I don't need look, we all know it. I mean, I love Nick Senzel. I was so excited he was coming to the roster. We don't need another situation like this where we throw a guy in 9 different positions and just like figure it out.
Yeah.
That worked for Steer.
It did. It absolutely did.
That's my argument when people try to say that like that ruined someone's career. No, Senzel didn't pan out because baseball's a really hard sport and guys just flame out. It happens. I don't think it has anything to do with him being moved around. It wasn't because they played any roster games with him. They brought him up a few weeks later than they probably should have. That didn't, or they could have. That didn't destroy anything. It just, baseball's hard. Guys pan out. Like guys flame out.
It's gonna really piss me off when he's like awesome for the San Francisco Giants or something.
I'll let you have it if he's really awesome for the San Francisco Giants.
I know, right? All right, so let's get to the next topic here. So obviously the updated potential Cooperstown ballot come up, and I'll list the names that are on there besides this one. But Brandon Phillips' name has come up on the ballot here, and I don't, obviously it's a question that's going to come up here. Oh, Brandon Phillips is on there, which, like, first off, I think we should go ahead and say that's an accomplishment of itself that your name is on the ballot. That's pretty cool. But with that being said, Reds Hall of Famer, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cooperstown, no freaking way.
Not even close.
And look, his career accolades are awesome. 30-30 season, Silver Slugger, multi-time Gold Glove, won 2 division championships, has a World Series with the Red Sox, but it's like it's the same way that it's the same way Adam Morrison has 2 titles with the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
Like that's Brandon Phillips' World Series with the Red Sox. Like, was never active in a game, didn't have any plate appearances, or fielding appearances during the series, but got a ring. So I'm not trying to sit. This isn't me saying bad things about Brandon Phillips, because like those right before like the boom of like talent happened, he was one of the reasons you watched him every day. Because like, what crazy thing is he going to do at second base? But he just didn't do enough, and
No.
the numbers aren't kind to him if you look at his hitting numbers. But loved him, absolutely loved him. Can't wait till he's inducted in the Reds Hall. But Cooperstown, especially like if you look at the names he's on this ballot with, who are you?
Now that I didn't see the other names.
I'll give you two off the top of my head to kind of like clear the conversation. Adrian Beltre and Joe Mauer.
Mauer, nice. Yeah. Yeah, there's and plus guys that are still on there, Todd Helton, Billy Wagner, those guys are going to make it in this year as well, because Helton was 72%, Wagner was 68%. Plus, there's still Andrew Jones, Gary Sheffield,
Dave Concepcion.
Right. Who do you think is the worst, at least of recent vintage? Who's the worst guy to be inducted in the Hall of Fame? It's pretty unanimous, and the guy got in only because his manager was on the Veterans Committee, right? Harold Baines.
Oh my God, he did get in, didn't he?
Harold Baines had 38 career BWAR, baseball reference WAR. Brandon Phillips has 24. So he's not even 66% of a right. His career is not even 2/3 as good as the worst Hall of Famer that's gotten in our recent vintage. So yeah, guy had a great career, and I don't think he ever was on a Hall of Fame path. But I mean, in terms of watchability and entertainment, absolutely top 5. Red in my in our lifetime.
I specifically picked this picture for this slide because it's the 2011 walk-off, the first night after the All-Star break when they beat the Cardinals. And he hits the homer in the bottom of the 9th. And as you see him rounding first base, I don't know if you'll remember this game, you can see him mouth the words, we won't use the actual word he used here, bleep the Cardinals. I've been working on my cursing, as you guys know, all year. It's been very up and down. But
you dropped the ceremonial first F-bomb on the riverfront a couple weeks ago. It was before me, which is the absolutely crazy. So I'm
looking at this ballot actually kind of thing, but going to that, like that moment was so huge. 2012, obviously what he did that year. 2011 was the Silver Slugger year, which was like the most disappointing year of that Reds tenure, Reds group. And so many memories, but it's just really hard for me to look at that. And I don't think I'm saying anything anyone doesn't know, because I actually have the ballot up now. You mentioned some of the names already. First off, how's Andrew Jones on the 7th year on the ballot? 5-time Silver Slugger, 10-time Gold Glove winner, multiple-time All-Star, 430 career home runs.
Wow,
that guy's a Hall of Famer. All right,
nuts. I mean, OPS plus of only 111, but never mind. He was the greatest defensive outfielder for a decade.
Right? Yeah,
straight.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So Todd Helton, Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones.
Yeah.
Gary Sheffield's on the ballot for the 10th year.
Yes, he is.
It's crazy.
10th year. We gotta get this. We gotta get better at this, people. Carlos Beltran, Alex Rodriguez. I would make the case that Alex Rodriguez is a Hall of Famer. I know people will take the 1 year that he was suspended for steroids, but that dude was super good and was a multiple-time MVP. Has a World Series to his name. You can say that it was on the 2009 Yankees all you want. It's still on his resume. Manny Ramirez, that one, I think he was a Hall of Fame player. I don't know if he'll ever get in. Omar Vizquel, Andy Pettit, Bobby Abreu, Jimmy Rollins, Mark Burley, Francisco Rodriguez, Torrey Hunter are all the multiple years.
Yeah, Jimmy Rollins is twice as good as Brandon Phillips, and he's the 3rd year and he's at 12%. I mean, he's at risk of falling off the ballot. Let me ask you guys: how do you guys look at the steroid era and guys that are out like Rodriguez and Ramirez, and we'll throw them even though they're no longer on the ballot, but Bonds and McGuire. How do you guys look at this?
Keeping it a buck here. Those dudes save baseball.
Yeah.
So I'm all for them being in the Hall of Fame.
They played in the era. They dominated the era.
Yeah, it wasn't a
who was it? Who was and who wasn't? We don't know. We don't know who. Like they're hitting against pitchers who were taking roids. So I don't care. They were Hall of Famers. Barry Bonds was the best hitter I have ever ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
He was so good. 2000 to 2003, without even the exact, I think it was that frame. There was never a baseball hitter in the 150 plus year history of the game that has ever been that good, that dominant. He got walked with the bases loaded because the manager was cool giving. Yeah, intentionally walked with the bases loaded because the manager was cool giving up the one run, knowing that it's better than him hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Yep.
No one's been that dominant. No one's been that impressive. And he.
And on the pitching end, I mean, I think Pedro Martinez was the best pitcher of my generation.
Probably.
But I don't think Roger Clemens was very far behind him.
Probably not. I would say he's 2 or 3, depending on how you view him and Unit.
Yeah, well, Unit's my all-time favorite pitcher. Like, I got to see Unit pitch in person twice, and even though it was against my team, I was just blown away how good he was.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, Joe. I think those dudes 1,000% should be in because
those games happened.
They made baseball watchable after the strike.
Yeah.
And Joe, I agree with you. Barry Bonds, even and this is funny, even before steroids, Barry Bonds was an incredible hitter.
Yeah.
So you're playing in that era, like you said, everybody was probably on it. And dude, there was not a phenomenon like Barry Bonds in that stretch where he was playing and hitting home runs and doing all the different stuff that he was doing.
You tuned in.
He was incredible.
If you didn't see the Giants play live, you tuned into baseball tonight. Every night.
Watch freaking Barry Bonds every night.
I saw Josh Hall's major league debut against the Giants and Barry Bonds, and Barry Bonds did what Barry Bonds should do to rookie pitchers and hit the ball almost out of the damn stadium.
Yeah.
So
that was the funniest time when I was at the game with my brother and Willie Mopena was in the game. A little old lady over my shoulder said, "Willie Mo, does that stand for William Morris?" I'm like, yeah, because there are a lot of Dominicans named William Morris Pena. I saw one be like,
oh man,
like I didn't respond because again, it was little old lady. I'm like, okay, you're whatever.
That's up there with So sidebar before we get to the rest of the conversation. So I always crack up that stuff because we have this thing. So my dad's all-time favorite Bengal was Ken Riley. Like literally when they had to switch to the new unis, not this last one, but the one before, he got a customized Ken Riley jersey made. And we're at a Bengals game, and because we had season tickets at the time, and they would always show the like Diamond in the Rough segment they would have with K Jewelers or whoever it was that was like the big sponsor at the time. They showed a big Ken Riley highlight, and my dad was like, "Yeah, Ken Riley, hell yeah!" wearing his customized Ken Riley jersey. And the guy behind me goes, "Well, if you like him so much, what jersey number did he wear?" And my dad like looks at him like, so that was amazing.
Idiots.
Right.
It's up there with the time we went to a Bengals-Browns game of all fucking teams to see play, and someone goes, "Who's Paul Brown? What stadium are you in, lady?"
Oh my god!
And who are they playing?
Right.
Yeah. So I want to go ahead and list off the first balloters as well before we go out of control again. Because the first balloters, there's a lot of guys who have really decent cases. Include that this has Brandon Phillips, but these are the people Brandon Phillips is competing against. All right.
Yeah.
So Adrian Belte, as we mentioned, he's it. He's it. I don't know if
I mean, there's no such thing as an unanimous because I mean you are or you aren't, but anyone who doesn't vote for him needs to have their voting privileges revoked.
Agreed.
1,000%.
Agreed. Joe Mauer, MVP winner. Multi-time cover athlete of MLB The Show.
Well played, Mauer.
Yeah.
Those were the greatest commercials.
Yeah. Chase Utley, you can't convince me he's not a Hall of Famer. He may have broken the Reds' heart in 2010, but he was awesome.
Yeah, he was.
He also broke Buster not Buster Posey. That was crap. Who was that? It was at second. Didn't he blow up?
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's Chris Coughlin that destroyed Buster Posey's ankle. Who did Utley blow up?
I can't remember.
Crap. Okay.
David Wright. I didn't
think he played long enough to even be eligible.
Yeah, I don't know what this is. Bartolo Colon, absolutely. I'm not listening to any arguments.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Big Sexy. Come on now.
Still pitching in the Baseball United.
Here's why I put Bartolo Colon in. All right. Think about that Hall of Fame speech. It's gonna be incredible. All right, that's my only argument. Matt Holliday, don't even come at me with that mess.
No.
Adrian Gonzalez, weirdest trade of all time to the Dodgers from the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Joey Bats, no, probably not.
But he took a hell of a punch.
He did. Jose Reyes, I would had like 4 years where he was absolutely incredible, but no.
No.
Victor Martinez, I don't think so.
No.
Good hitter, but when he was able to be on the field, he could rake.
James Shields had a strange ass drop off after he left Tampa, and then Brandon Phillips. So, I think in the first balloters. Okay. Also, they talked about this on Locked On. I want to make sure I just get to acknowledge it. Anyone who tries to discredit what ballot you get into the Hall of Fame is so stupid.
Yeah,
because it's the freaking baseball Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
So I just want to make sure I got that in there. But yeah, I just think Phillips is going to have such an uphill battle. But I look forward to the day that, Brandon Phillips and Jade Cargill are on the field and Brandon gets inducted to the Reds Hall of Fame. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they can just have him and Joey get inducted together.
Oh,
that
Joey's gonna need his own day.
Yeah, he deserves his entire. Now, granted, I mean the Reds probably aren't gonna give him that, but
how many guys
to do whatever? But
yeah,
how many guys on that team are Reds Hall of Famers? Joey, Brandon, Jay, Johnny Cueto, Aldis Chapman.
Yep.
Yeah.
You think Chapman?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, not does he deserve, but do you think he gets in? I mean, this is the organization that has Ron goddamn Oster, who's just a terrible hitter, and was just a scrappy, gritty, white middle infield guy that happened to be from Cincinnati, so people loved him.
He was that 2 knee brace guy that ran around wobbly trying to get playground balls.
Right. Great. The only reason that anyone even cared about him was because he went to Withrow, and that was outside of that, he was replacement level his entire career.
Yep.
I don't think Roland, because he was only Bob puts Roland. Roland was only there for 4 years. 3.5 years.
Yeah.
2009, 2012.
He was the starter of the 2011 All-Star game at third base as a 7th alternate. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. He definitely sparked that team. And when we had Drew on a couple months ago, we mentioned he talked about in 2010 we don't win without Scott Rowland. Bronson's already in, so we can't include him there. Okay, this is an interesting one.
I was just thinking that
there's a case for and against because Sydney asked about Homer Bailey. You can do so. 2012 and 2013, Homer Bailey was so good.
Yeah,
and then signs the contract. We all know what happens there, and everyone's going to hold that against him. By the way, let's stop holding people's money against them. It's not their fault. Their bodies don't help them out. Okay,
right?
Sorry. I
don't think there's a question about Homer Bailey.
It's deserved. Yes. Will he? No. Yeah. He's not, because the fans vote on this, and the fans just have such a poor taste in his mouth. I was going to go the other way on the 2010 team. What about Orangutan?
Yes, has to be him.
That was 2010 was his last year with the Reds, but I mean that guy was on some awful teams and just an absolute workhorse.
Yep.
And that's I don't know. Bailey was better than Harang, especially at their peaks, but Harang was steady long enough, and I think people have a positive enough image of him. And I'm one of Homer's biggest Reds fans. Again, and I've said this before. He threw a no-hitter on the day of my mom's funeral. That was his one of September of 2012 in Pittsburgh. That right there. I don't care what happens. That was a hell of a way to make a shitty day a lot less shitty. So. No, I don't care what he did, and any other day the rest of his life, he's a Reds Hall of Famer in my book.
Yeah, I was at the 2013 no-hitter in Cincinnati. I couldn't believe it.
I think I was driving Rush when I was a chauffeur. I was driving Rush. No. I was driving for Journey. I was driving Journey the day that he threw his second no-hitter.
For our Canada friends, it was Rush.
Yes, I drove Rush late, earlier that year. I drove Getty and the other guys in separate trips.
Please continue to hang out with us, Canada friends. We love you. So
we're multinational.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I've got an autographed Bret Hart action figure right above my head right now. So
Do you have an autographed Owen Hart?
no, I almost met him once though.
Were you? No, I'm not going to go there.
So the Florence Mall used to always do these, like they had these just random. Ben might remember this. They had this random
I
like
definitely remember that
spray, like one of those like spray T-shirt like spots in the old Florence Mall. And for some reason, that was where all the WWF guys went to sign autographs. Like The Rock signed autographs there.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird.
So it was probably because it was right close to the airport, and they could get in and out from
Yeah, that makes sense.
Most likely.
Owen did a signing there.
Okay.
And like I was a huge Owen Hart fan.
Did he just drop in?
Bro, come on. Come on. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get to the next topic. All right. So this goes hand in hand with the question Mr. Juan asked earlier, and I think this is a very fun conversation. Okay. So shout out Red Leg Nation, I guess formerly our company. I don't know. It's like a split now? I don't know how you describe it. I'll have to get Chad to come on here sometime and clarify. But Jason Linden talked about the idea of making some trades, and one of the names he brought up was, in the article he talks about, should the Reds need to get another outfielder. And one of the points he makes, this actually came up in the Slack today, so I want to make sure I brought it in. Shout out Brandon Kamek for sharing this with me. Was should the Reds, instead of just moving Jonathan India, should they also move Jake Fraley? And here's what he says. So what if the Reds made a package where they traded India and Fraley? Both India and Fraley are good baseball players who deserve to get significant playing time on basically any team. However, they are also extremely limited. Neither really has anything in the way of defensive flexibility, and Fraley is hampered by his inability to hit lefties. If either of them hit as well as Spencer Steer and Matt McClain seems likely to, this would be a different conversation. But as is, they are the two weakest links who are regulars and are both incapable of serving in the super sub role. And I 1,000,000% agree with everything Jason said there. And we talked about this last week. We did our outfield discussion. Ben and I were kind of talking about, is Jake Fraley more an outfielder or DH next year? So with this question of, and Mr. Juan asked earlier, is there actually a market for Jonathan India? And it sounds more and more like there's not the market Reds fans may think there is. I think obviously 2021 is kind of the thing. It's like, well, 2021, and he wasn't healthy in 22 or 23. And like, no, you're not wrong, but maybe that's just who he is in 2022.
Yeah.
And Joe, we've had this conversation quite a few times.
For sure.
But I think in this situation where if you're going to get a guy, right, if you're going to get something that's going to completely improve your team, you're not moving GJ Friedel. Absolutely not.
No.
And I think we talked about this last week as well, Ben. We both believe that Will Benson has earned the chance to see if he can hit lefties. If he can't, he can't. But he has earned the right to see if he can. And didn't look good at it last year, but also only had like 45 at-bats against left-handers. So we'll kind of keep that for what it is. But I don't, and this is not like something where I'm like, yeah, move these guys, get them the heck out of here, because I really like both players a lot. But I also understand like that's how this team's going to get better.
There's value. I mean, it's what are they more valuable for, on your roster or as assets to acquire something to acquire a piece that's a little more necessary?
Yeah. I agree. Exactly. So there's definitely a road, right, where Jake Fraley is not a Red in 2024.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't think that's necessarily an awful thing for him or the Reds.
No.
Again, love him. I picked him to lead the team in home runs.
Gritty dude. I mean, he absolutely plays that stuff. The fact that he came back with a broken toe, and gritted through it. Now it was to his detriment, but I mean, the guy wanted to be there. I mean, you want guys like that are going to want to put their body on the line and play through injuries to be on a contending team. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I think that if you're in this kind of situation where Joe's been very open about it, I've been very open about it, Ben's discussed it, like, we would absolutely love Teoscar Hernandez to be on this team, right? Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Well, I wouldn't go ahead and pencil it in.
Right.
But moving on from a guy like Fraley makes it more and more of a possibility. And I think that Fraley's a guy who would definitely benefit from a team who's not in a situation as Reds are in. What I mean by that is not necessarily a rebuilding team. Like, I'm not saying ship him to Washington, like I talked about last week for India. But do I think a team like Miami would absolutely love to have a Jake Fraley in their lineup? Yeah, they would. They absolutely would to have a guy like that behind Jazz Chisholm. Do I think a team like Anaheim would love to have a Jake Fraley on their team because they can't seem to get anything right and they're going to lose Shohei Ohtani? Absolutely, they would.
Right.
Well, they had the original Jake Fraley and Scott Schebler after he left Cincinnati, so it's a perfect 1-for-1 comp.
Right.
Yep.
So, wow, that Woodford really burned the throat on that one. But, well, I got I burped too. I'm on a roll tonight, guys. But I just kind of met the situation here where I think pairing those two in a deal, if you can, makes a lot of sense. I think Fraley definitely sweetens an India deal for a team like the White Sox or someone who's looking to add more big league batters to their team. So, yeah, I'm for it. If it helps the team, sure.
And I think you have to. It'll be a gauge of what you're looking for. So, I think there are deals out there where you can move those two and get decent pieces. I think the higher the piece, the more you'll have to add to it, whether it be a prospect, whether it be somebody else in that organization that there's value linked to them. So, but that's two really good pieces to start with to be able to set up a deal to bring in somebody that's going to help you win baseball games.
Yeah, it's one thing if the Reds can bring in some like Teoscar or Gurriel or even Jorge Soler on a free agent contract. And then you're trading from surplus because now what are you going to do with these guys? They're they're reserves that are only good from one side of the plate. If they're unable to bring or unwilling to pony up to spend to extend themselves out financially or years wise, then you bundle those guys. I mean, what would throw in India, Fraley, Cam Collier, and Edwin Arroyo? Does that get you Steese and Luis Robert or Eloy Jimenez?
Could
you know what I mean? Like these are guys that these guys going to be replaced. Like, I mean, India's already displaced. I don't.
Yeah.
I hate to sound so negative. I don't have anything against India. He's a hard-nosed player. He's a decent, useful player. But the only thing that anyone brings up is he's a leader.
Yeah.
TJ Friedl is a leader. I mean, how many guys out there that are absolutely busting their ass that are actually good players? Who's to say that Matt McClain? Who's to say that Marte? Ellie De La Cruz, Steer. How many of these guys aren't leaders? I mean, Spencer Steer seems like an absolute 1-for-1 leader, just the absolute, just tough nose, putting his body like dirt devil type guy. And like, you don't hold on to guys that are displaced, that are not as good just because they're a leader. Is he going to be that good of a leader as a reserve, as a part-time player? Right. They're not going to listen to that guy as much anyway. So get what you can for bundle it up, and get what you can on the trade market. If and most likely when the Reds are unable to get much done on the free agent market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. It's just kind of at this point, it's just about making the team better. And
yeah.
I think when we have these conversations, you see all this stuff going around the internet where it's like we have this like civil war apparently that goes on between like Reds fans who are like prospect huggers and Reds fans who aren't. It's not like a thing where like I feel like it's like, why are we fighting over all wanting the same thing?
Right, we all want the Reds to win.
Yeah. Like that's the thing that blows my mind about all this. And so I think when it comes to that, if you can put something together with those guys, then yeah, absolutely. Bob asked a really good question again. Bob's on top of it tonight, people. Cheers.
We got someone doing their homework. He is prepared. I mean, more than I am.
He stumped us pretty bad a couple weeks ago, so that's why I had to send him a Joey card. So, you might know this one, knowing you. The 3 teams in Joey's career he never homered off of.
Obviously, the Reds are number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. These are going to be American League teams. The Rays.
I think that was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben remembers. Thank God Ben remembers.
The Rays was
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say a team out west. Anaheim. Yeah, I was gonna say Anaheim.
I think it was Anaheim.
I thought it was Anaheim. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Bob. Oh, Bob said no.
Oh,
I already can't remember. See, we're still stumped by it. 3 weeks later. But
I'm throwing crap against the wall here, just guessing. Texas and Boston. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. I forgot about Texas. Did he homer in that opening series? against Anaheim? Yeah, he must have, because there's that series when they played Anaheim. It was the first ever interleague opening day.
Yeah.
I saw Mike Trout play in Cincinnati, and I was on opening day, and I was like, "This is pretty cool."
A little weird. Mike Trout and Josh Hamilton roaming the outfield in Great American on opening day.
Right. Albert Pujols was on the team.
Oh yeah, Pujols.
Yeah, he got booed still. I was kind of funny, but I never really. I mean, I understood why Reds fans booed him because he just kicked our butts. But like, he never was like Cincinnati sucks. He was never,
appreciate the guy. He was just. I mean, literally. I mean, what was his nickname? The Machine. He was that damn good of a hitter
in the world for like 10 years.
He picked up Bond's mantle and ran off with it until he got to Anaheim and just got old.
Yeah. I was kind of worried LeBron would do that in LA, and he just did the polar opposite. Just like was like, I'm still really awesome at my job. And I was like, oh, well, cool. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's pretty solid here. I think Fraley is the most expendable outfielder. I think certainly. But, Benson's at least. I don't know if Benson's a great defensive outfielder, but I think you've seen strides where he could be. We talked about last week that Houston series. He makes that huge play, running into the net. I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
So things like that, I'm always going to be.
He's more athletic than Fraley, so at least the tools are there, and it's a matter of how can you refine. A lot of outfield defense is more just refining and learning how to take better routes to the ball, and then just having an accurate arm, which is more reps. So, I mean, he had negative defensive grades on per Fangraphs last year with the Reds, but unless you're a center fielder, it's hard to have a lot of defensive value in the outfield anyway.
Yeah, for sure. No one's like, man, you remember how good that guy was in left field?
Yeah, Adam Duvall and Alex Gordon.
Maybe machine fans with George Foster, but that's about it. Yeah. Other than that, I can't. What was it? Was Griffey Senior? I can't remember. I'm not here for that conversation.
Foster was left fielder because Pete moved out of left field to third base.
That's right. The infamous story.
Yeah.
And who was the Yankee player in the '76 series when they were like, was it Mickey Little?
Mickey Rivers.
Mickey Rivers was his name. Yeah, when Rose was like just standing like basically inside the batter's box. That's like an all-time great story. Well, did we miss anything? Because I was like preparing for it to be a shorter show, and we went an hour.
Yep.
Starting late and still went off track, so we're good.
That's the Riverfront way.
That's only the way we can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Well, with that being said, if anyone has any questions, we'll get to them, but we'll go ahead and do the sign off otherwise. So I want to go ahead and take a quick shout out to everyone who's hung out with us this year, obviously, whether you're in the Riverfront Slack, which you should be. Dan Vodon, I see you in the chat. Come join us. Come hang out with us. We'd love to have you. It's there on the banner, patreon.com/RiverfrontCincy.
Tim and I are there way too much for, way too much time on there.
Because I took Twitter off my phone, it's become my Twitter. And I don't
it's like a private Twitter amongst just us. It's more similarly minded people, so you don't have all the dipshits and a-holes that ruin Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, December 17th, Christmas song draft. You said something about not liking songs past the 70s earlier. I'm going to have to go ahead and just counter that argument with Christmas in Hollis. Okay? I'm leaving it there. So
I did not. We've got a Christmas decoration that sings Christmas in Hollis. So I was totally neglecting Reverend Run and the rest of the boys. So that's full admission. I missed that one. That I hate poppy songs. Let's put it that way. I'm not a pop music fan, and the rest of like more modern Christmas songs are poppy, and I just can't do it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Ben and I won't be able to be at Reds Fest this weekend. I have the Xavier Houston game. Ben has the state championship to worry about. So you will be there? I
will be there. I've got tickets for both days because it's $25 for one day, $35 for 2 days, and I have no idea when I'm going to be free. So I'm like, I'll just buy both tickets. I'll figure out. I'll take my son one day. Might go down. I don't know, but I'll be down there at some point. So.
Cool. There you go. So everyone make sure they say hey to Joe as Joe shows some love to the Riverfront while he's down there.
I'll post some stuff on YouTube Shorts and everything like that. So
yeah, please do. That'd be awesome. Make sure also if you are still hanging on by the thread, if there's even a thread anymore, that you check out Joe's show on the Bengals show on here on the Riverfront Network as we all tough through this brutal year together.
Give me something to talk about. Just send me questions. Email the Riverfront. It's go to either my Twitter or the channel's Twitter. Just give me something to talk. Like it. I don't want to talk. I'm not going into mock drafts this year. I don't want to talk about what's going on or how much Zach Taylor is completely just shit the bed this season and how much worse the team is than everyone thought that they were going to be this year outside of Burrow getting injured. So give me something. Give me a reason to get up.
Yeah,
it's depressing. Greg and I need some help.
We got you, buddy. We got you.
Much appreciated.
All right, and with that being said, of course, if you are just checking this out on YouTube for the first time, please make sure you give us a solid subscription. If you're listening to this on your podcast app of choice, please take that second to give us to subscribe and also give us a nice solid 5-star review. On behalf of Ben, on behalf of Joe, the ultimate utility player, this is Tim Daniel. Take it easy, everyone.